the Forged and Unbroken podcast.
So, we've already been jabbering for half an hour about stories. I've got a lot of favorite Otter stories, but I'm just going to start with one. When we were, there's a fire in Tens area. So the bottom side of Tens area, we're at 7 together. You have, I can't even remember the street now, but it's kind of like 2 over 2s, but there's doors everywhere, right? And it could go a million different places. And it was an attic fire. Backside of this thing is ripping. We show up second. We're running down, grab another line. The fire's in the back bedroom. We're just hanging out. The one owner lives by himself, but he has his prized possession, which is a parrot.
Oh, the parrot.
So fire's ripping in this back bedroom, right? We're hanging out. We're back up. We're just there to support. And then I realize my officer's gone. Where's Otter? So I'm in the back bedroom. He's obviously not here. I start going down the hallway. Not in the bathroom. Not in the closet. I open the door, and it's like a scene out of a movie. There's this parrot flying, freaking out all over the room, and you're sitting there jumping, trying to catch this parrot by its legs. And there's a split second where like you look at me and you're like, I need help. And we make eye contact. And I just
shut the door. Yes.
I shut you in the door, and then I walk back. I'm like, he's going to be fine.
If you weren't going to help me, closing the door was the next best thing to do for me. Yes, I remember that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good fire.
I thought, there was another one I thought you were going to go with.
There's probably a lot that I have to pay a subscription for like explicit content that we're just going to forget about.
Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that. Yeah. Some stories just don't need to be made that public.
We'll just let it be. I want to throw it back to Hawaii. You stealing pineapples out of fields. Mm-hmm. So
going surfing.
Yeah. Give me a little rundown of just like that brief moment in history, and we'll just build it back up.
Go surfing on the North Shore. You do it early in the morning. Winds are calm. So it's very, very glassy, and get in the back of a pickup truck and you're driving out to, with the other guys. And I didn't know what they were doing the first time driving out and driving through the pineapple fields. And they've got a great big machine that kind of creeps along, and they've got the field workers that are just spitting the pineapples off, throwing it on. Conveyor belt takes it, and the guys are laughing, and they pull up just a little bit ahead of this machine. They jump out and they go into the fields. I'm like, what are they doing? And they spin off the pineapples and jump back in, and we drive away. And they have a knife. They cut it open. We're eating pineapples like apples. I was like, oh, this is great. I didn't really pay much attention to what was going on behind me. So the next time we did it, the next weekend, we're going out to do it. I'm like, oh, I can do this now. I'm just like these guys. So I jumped out of the truck, whatever, and I start spinning off, and I grab one, and I was like, well, if I can get one of them, I'm going to get 2 of them. So I start spinning off, and then I realized that all of the plant workers are very upset with us taking their pineapples. And they're running up, and the guys are yelling at me, and I'm like, here we go. So I'm running, throwing pineapples in the back of the truck and driving away, and that's when I learned you only take 1 pineapple when you're going to do that. So, and that was just growing up in Hawaii and kind of my rebellious days there, I guess, for stuff.
Because your dad was Navy.
Coast Guard.
Okay.
Yeah, Coast Guard. Signed out there. I was born out there. My sister was born out there. So we were the tail end of a family of 7 kids.
Yeah.
And then my father was in line to get promoted, and he would have to go back to the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
And he is like, I'm not moving my family from Hawaii to D.C., in the early 70s. He's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So he retired and we stayed.
Oh, I didn't realize you were actually born in Hawaii.
Yeah,
I thought you moved there.
Yeah, born and raised in Hawaii.
So then how'd you get to Annapolis then?
Graduated from high school, and Hawaii became a very, very small place to me by that point.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go away someplace different. So ended up going to school for a couple of years in New England, up in Massachusetts. And my parents retired in Hawaii, and they decided they were going to come back. Cost of living is very expensive there. So they moved back to Annapolis, where they used to live in Bowie, so they knew the area. My sister was at the Naval Academy, and my brother was just graduating. So that they ended up there. And then I did 2 years of school in Massachusetts, and recognized pretty quickly that I wasn't a college student. So I moved back in with mom and dad and went down the path of being a fireman. So
yeah. It's a small world. I knew your sister-in-law, Sarah.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. because she was a member at the gym that I was coaching at. Mm-hmm. She was EOD, right?
Yeah, she was EOD.
Yeah, badass chick.
Yeah,
super
tough.
Awesome. And that's how I kind of knew your brother roundabout way. Obviously,
she owns a gym now in Wisconsin.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. She owns her own gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wisconsin, yeah.
I knew she went out there and was still doing it. I had no idea she actually owns her own place now.
She did some physical therapy stuff, and then it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I want to get back into it. So they bought a gym from somebody. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yep.
I had no idea. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, your whole family, I feel like, was just service. Right?
Yeah.
Between Navy, Coast Guard, fire.
Yeah. I got a brother was Army. One brother went Navy. Sister went Navy.
Jeez.
Father, Coast Guard. Grandfather was Navy. Uncles, cousins. Yeah, a lot of military.
Yeah.
Then there's me.
The black sheep.
Yeah.
The black sheep, baby.
I'm sure, I usually use the phrase black sheep, but my parents wouldn't agree with that. I was just the different one, I guess. Yeah, so.
What year was it that you got started?
Started in college. When I was up in Massachusetts, I was actually going to school for, people get a kick out of this. Went to school for emergency medical services. I was going to be a paramedic.
Yeah.
And I started in September of 91, started my EMT class. Geez. And, part of it was they gave us exposure to auto extrications and stuff. And, our squad from Springfield comes out, and I'm looking at this thing, and they pull these tools out. We start cutting cars up, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to be this medical stuff. I mean, I can break stuff for a living. Great.
Yeah.
So when I realized that college wasn't for me, when I moved back home to Annapolis, I guess you call it at that point, I wanted to keep my EMT active. And they said, well, you have to join a fire company here. We don't really have ambulance stuff here. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll join a local volunteer fire company. And they said, well, you have to be a fireman. Okay, well, what class is that? Well, here's a class you can take. Yeah. So I took it, and first day of that class, went in there. Ray Hodgson was the instructor, kind of an iconic guy out of Odenton. And he was just larger than life at the front of that class. And I'm looking at him, and then just the way that he talked, and the whole demeanor and everything. And I got home, I walked into the kitchen, looked at my mom, and said, I know what I want to do. I don't know. From then, it was off to the races.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 2000-ish is when you got hired?
May 97.
Oh, okay. Even earlier. Yeah.
Yep. I knew what I wanted to do, so I started just, pounding in applications. But that was, you had to have a hook almost to get in places.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when you get one career.
Yeah.
Damn.
A lot of people applying. So I applied a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
And Howard was the one that just, I got lucky. I showed up early for the interview, and the guy that was supposed to be ahead of me didn't show up. So they're like, hey, you want to go early? Yeah, sure. I walked in, and two people in the interview panel, like, hey, so where are you from? I'm from Hawaii. They're like, hey, we just got back from Hawaii. So I went into about a 20-minute conversation about their vacation, where I lived, and what they did, and all these things, because I had that time frame that I normally wouldn't have had because the guy ahead of me never showed up.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they said, oh, yeah, I just crushed the interview. I walked out, I was like, wow, I actually didn't do bad.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, no shit.
That was
cool.
That was the way that I got in on it.
Yeah. So out of pure serendipity, today's 9/11, and you were working on 9/11. Or you got called in?
I was at a trade shift.
Okay.
I was on a trade shift, and I was sleeping. I was actually at my girlfriend's house at the time. Girlfriend, now wife. And I was going to say my pager went off, but I don't know. I can't remember now. Anyways, sister was like, hey, you need to turn on the TV. So turn on the TV, and I saw what was happening. I was like, oh, man. So first thing, I grabbed my stuff and went down to my parents' house, and, and I'm looking at it, and then second plane hit right as I got to my parents' house, I believe it was. And right then I was like, I got to go to work. This isn't good. Got in touch with Captain Aftong, was my captain at 9 at the time. And I'm like, what do I do? He says, get here now. Pack up. We don't know how long you're going to be here. So grabbed my stuff, went into work. Went in there, and then from there, it was a very, very odd day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So.
Or the upstaff, you were driving with chiefs around for a while?
I was driving the chief around.
Yeah.
At one point, they put myself and another person in a pickup truck. They said nobody goes anywhere by themselves. And they said, here's the kitty, here's some money, go buy food. We don't know when we're going to be able to get back out. We don't know what they're going to be shutting down.
Yeah.
So went down to the Safeway, and it was just like, all right, well, we have propane, so we're gonna have burgers for the next 6 weeks, boys. Come on. So I bought just a whole bunch of box burgers and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's load up. Yeah, it was an eerie day. I was still in high school.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
I was in Spanish class when that happened. I remember, so I was hired in 2005. Got assigned to Savage. Andy Hoffman, who's been on this, was my mentor. Just, if you had like 4 Andys, you can take over the world, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you were a float lieutenant. I don't know how long you'd been a lieutenant by that point.
05, I got promoted. I believe I got promoted early 05.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So I came out towards the end of 05. So you were floating around. And when I came into Savage, like I came out to a great shift, but I definitely accumulated a lot of small wins in my, like, getting my recruit manual done and doing all that single-handedly, because I would beat you up every time you came in. And you were like, hey, let's go. Yeah. And I remember the support I had from you and Andy. And as soon as I saw you pull in, I felt like I was like the little kid standing on the front of the pad, just like, you ready? Right?
Bouncing,
yeah, Otter's here. Yeah. So, that first year, I mean, definitely set the tone for me. And then it was, I did a year there. You had gotten the spot at 1. Mm-hmm. And then I had a couple close friends there. You asked me to come up, and I mean, we just hit the ground running.
Yeah, that
was a good time.
Yeah, that was a shift that I learned a lot as an officer. Don't allow your handline to get charged until you call for it, because 2 guys will go into a burning townhouse by themselves without you. You and Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's how I tell the story. It's like, well, why do you want the handline charge when you call for it? Well, because it puts a leash on you guys. I had guys that did that. So
yeah, we had a good group of guys.
Yeah, we had a lot of shenanigans there.
Yeah. So one of the more memorable calls for me there was Stonehill.
Oh, yeah.
When, 2, 3 a.m., we're screaming down the road. I think we were third due wagon, but Mom and her daughter trapped on the 2nd floor. And we ran around the back, UVES'd. This place was rocking. I remember you thinking, I don't know if I should actually be inside here right now.
Oh, yeah. I caught myself in when I was inside. Yeah. That was from the very start. Can't remember the dispatcher's name, but he had a way of alerting when it's a critical call, and he alerted it as fire rescue box, which was, there was no such thing in Howard. But it just told, we're like, oh, something's not right. Mm-hmm. And then the information going down the road, they kept feeding us information, and we were like, oh, this is the one. This is the call. We went, let's see, Bean. John Bean was captain
at 2. Yep.
And he gave the status.
Yep.
Banging on the windows. Remember that?
Yeah.
So
that's actually the intro to this podcast, is him saying that.
Is that
it's him saying that.
We ran around to the back. They had 1 ladder thrown. They were throwing a second one. The guys were making entry in one of the corners, and we went over the other one. I said, okay, well, let's just start hammering the back of this house, because there was no way to get in the front of this thing.
No.
9 was getting ready to push in real hard on the front. And then they were going up 1 ladder, so I was masking up, and they had another ladder thrown. So I went up, went into that room, quick search, and then I think I heard them say over the radio they had 1. Mm-hmm. And so I peeked out the door to see real quick, to kind of see what the conditions were in the hallway. And I looked to the kind of glanced to the right, and I could kind of see a little bit where the master bedroom was at the time, and kind of crossed my mind: do I go out here? Do I try to get the hall? I'm like, well, let me just try this real quick. Yeah. And came out, shut the door, and 2 or 3 strides of crawling across. That's when it dawned on me: should I really be where I'm at right now?
Yeah.
This place so it was rocking. Like, do I turn around? I was like, all right, let's just go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So got in the master bedroom, and then actually I was working my way back towards where they were on the Charlie side, and that's when I crawled over the daughter, and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, and then it got real
quick.
Real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Joe were pulling a line to the back, and I was going to follow you in, and by the time I looked up, you were already gone. I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to go up this ladder to follow him. And then by that point, I think the mom was coming out. And another guy, Jenkins, he went up the ladder. I helped. We did kind of together, got her out. And then I ran back up. And I think it was you like brought her out to me. Both of them were unconscious.
Yeah.
Bring her down the ladder. Was she 8 to 10 years old?
Probably that. The only, I'd never seen I don't know the picture. I couldn't depict a girl out at all.
No.
The only thing I remember, it's very vivid in my mind, is the pajama she had on. She had that quintessential polyester style pajama on.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
To this day, I can sense, I can feel that. And I was like, that's the weirdest sensation. Like, oh my God, I just crawled over the top of a 10-year-old, 8-year-old girl.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I have to leave.
Yeah.
His house is coming apart on us.
Yeah. Brought her down the ladder. Everybody came down the ladders. And I remember you came around the back. And I mean, I'm 2-3 years on the job. We just rescued a mom and her daughter. We're in the backyard in the grass. And I think Chuck Wood was there. He starts breathing in her. I think at one point you even had your mask on her.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but you're sitting, I think maybe you were even breathing on her. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, I don't know what to do right now. Because we just brought 2 people out unconscious, CPR, this and that. And I remember once Chuck came over because he's a paramedic, phenomenal human being, starts working on her, and then they start running her over.
Yeah, the medics coming in.
Yeah, the medics that came in. After you took your mask off, you stood up and you glassed over and you walked away.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, you're a rock solid dude, and that one got you. I think, but the amount of fire, and I mean, you had young kids at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I need to go check on him. And I don't there's nothing I could have said. I was 22.
It was one of those calls. I guess a lot of it for me is the fact that at that point in my career, I was just wide open training and reading and talking to people and doing all the stuff and just focus and work ethic. And then you throw in the fact that younger family, call came together, everything just all the cylinders fired, and you just dumped everything into the call. And then the moment you realized that kind of your piece of that fire was over, I was just like I was done.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, what do I do now? And I said, nothing, just walk away from this.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing else we can do.
Walked away. And I remember actually, I think a part of it was somebody grabbed me. It was wagon driver at one, Rob Grant. Rob Grant grabbed me and kind of looked at me and said, that's it, you're good. Stop. Drop your stuff. And that's when I kind of realized it. Took stuff off, walked away. And this house is still, hellaciously burning.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember walking across the street and I ran into Chaplain, Steve Stone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Walked over to Steve Stone and he looked at me and said, you okay? And I'm like, no. And he goes, good, you're not supposed to be right now. And I was like, oh.
Okay.
So I'm not broken right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and then we got back from that one. And then I went and actually, Mike Butt was the battalion on that.
Okay. And the one chief that we had, Merson, lived right around the corner. He was there at one point.
He was there at one point. Billy Robinson was driving King. I'm getting old, forgetting names now. Chief King. They were going out to, I think they were going out to Wisconsin or something. They were going to go look at like apparatus or something.
Yeah. And
they pulled up first. But,
oh wow.
They're getting ready to get on an airplane. They don't have any radios or anything, so they met the battalion there. And I remember leaving the firehouse that morning, and I texted Butt, or got down to his Butt, and he's just like, come by the firehouse on the way home. Come by my house on the way home. Mm-hmm. So I walked down and I was just like, dude, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
intense.
It was a very intense fire, and it was just early in my career and just not knowing how to manage a lot of that stuff.
For sure.
And then kind of looking, and then the drive home going, wow, I was places I shouldn't have been. Did that just happen? Yeah, that just happened. So, it was very much a watershed moment in my career.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wasn't just the fact it was, pretty intense rescue, but it was also just the shift. The shift worked well. The guys did what they were supposed to do. We did our job. We took our assignment. Lines were stretched, ladders were thrown. All that, it was that at the end of it. It was kind of like, oh, hey, all the stuff does work. So
at that time, I remember we had a pretty strong battalion, and Johnny at 9, they're on the front side trying to put this fire
Johnny
out.
he got his crews in the line, and he just pushed in. And I remember he said he tried to He got to the stairwell, and I think he tried to get up the stairwell, but the stairs were gone at that point. So he just, I was, the guy's pushing in from the front, and you can say what you want by opposing hand lines and this kind of stuff, but I got to put water on this thing, and I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the only options that they had. No, they made it tolerable. Yeah,
and it's it was the fact that just a lot of the companies did what they were supposed to do. The guys did what they were supposed to do. And if anybody thinks it's easy to take an unconscious person out of a second floor window, no. But it was weird about that fire too. Going back is they tried to hide in the bathroom. They were wet because they had the tub running. The sink faucets were on. It was all that stuff that you hear that they try to hide them, protect themselves and stuff. So it was just kind of all the way around. And you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
taking unconscious bodies down ladders. Even a little girl, they're still top heavy. I remember being terrified I was going to drop this girl.
I remember handing her out, and I'm pretty sure. I forgot who was in the house with me still.
It was Chuck.
It was Chuck. It was Chuck
with you. Yeah.
And I think I looked at Chuck. I'm like, Chuck, I think we need to get out of here. And he was very explicit. Oh, we have to get out of here. We're leaving. I'm like, get out.
Yeah.
So.
That's. I think it was right around that time. You were telling me that you're going to run a fire where all these things you've been taught and our training on is going to click. And it was either right before or right after that. I had one at my volley house down the road where that happened. Like that fire clicked. It was a Cape Cod. Fire's mowing through the void spaces. Can't find it. I remember at one point we got bum rushed by just too many crews being up top, and somebody pushed me into the corner of the house, and my back just felt like it got lit up. I'm like, oh, there's fire in the walls.
Yeah.
And so we started opening things up. And before we could do that, I remember I was at the dormer for the Cape Cod, and somebody had just punched out a pane, hadn't taken the whole thing. And I remember seeing air rush into the house, not smoke going out. I'm like, this is not, they tell us this is bad, right? I mean, zero visibility, the heat driving you to your knees, can't find it, air coming in, not going out. And I remember in that moment, just this vivid thing like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Yeah, all of these things are starting to click now.
Suddenly the pieces start to click and it starts to...
Yep. Yeah. And we got it opened up and it was all fine, but I remember just getting... Same thing, just get my ass handed to me on that fire. But it was right around that same time. And then you incorporate rescues into it, You
put that in... And it's one thing when you're fighting fire and you have those things. Remember a very clear fire early in my career in Howard. Right at shift change, and it was still... We were pretty light on staffing at the time. And I ended up just by the situation in, lower level of this house, 2 from the front, 1 from the rear, fighting fire by myself. I kind of looked around and I was a rookie and I was like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. I've been here by myself.
Yeah.
So then I kind of stood there a second. I'm like, well, do I leave? Do I stay? I got a hose line, and I kind of looked around and I'm seeing the fire like wrap around the wall, and it kind of like dawned on me, wait a minute. I can go back over here. That's where the fire was because it's coming around the wall here and things kind of all click together.
Yeah.
The difference on that, it's that fire. It's like, okay, I understand what the fire is doing. I know how to make a decision from it. You throw in the emotional side of people trapped in the house and some of that. Then it's just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're just firing on all cylinders. Yeah, adrenaline is stroking.
Yeah.
I was going to fast forward a little bit. The another thing where all those things click, it was the Edenville Road fire where you pulled out the one kid.
Bergeron, yeah.
Yeah. So even before I knew a lot about it, you're like, you got to check this out. And now you used it for training. Yeah. I used it for training. I had not been promoted yet, I was about to be. And I remember thinking, when I'm doing training, I'm putting in all these training scars I don't even realize. And that was a fire that made that make sense. I think it was right around the time we were going through Fireground Survival School together to become trainers for that. And you're like, you need to be mindful of everything that you're doing and all these little inputs you're doing for training, because you're going to have training scars. And I started seeing it in what I was doing. And so I started flipping the script. And to this day, I mean, that's just such an eye opener. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that was going on with that fire, but that was specifically.
Yeah, it was an error-filled fire, and it was documented.
Yeah.
And it was all the little tiny things kind of all came together.
Oh yeah.
Split level house, fire on the second floor, we'll call it. Pretty much got the whole second floor involved. It's already through the roof. Very little heat anywhere except for second floor. And even then, roof was gone, so everything was going up. Got there, had a water supply issue to start with. We had an electric issue with the wagon.
Yeah.
Wouldn't go into pump gear. Finally got in pump gear, so it was a delay. Fire had the whole second floor of that place. So when we pushed up with the line, very methodical, sounding the floor in front of the Bergeron, who was on the line, New York, we called him.
Yeah.
Banging the floor, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I was going through that motion because it was just a motion. It didn't really mean a whole lot. It was just what I was kind of taught to do.
Yeah.
And we pushed in, and we had second line come in behind us, and there's a lot of it. It's on YouTube. It's on the internet. A lot of criticism about what we're doing. There's opinions of it. It was a little different though because it really wasn't that hot. It looks terrible, but it really wasn't. Because the heat was going up.
Looked like a good fire to be in.
But the thing about it is, we got to the end of the hall, and I could see a little hole in the floor, and we had already checked underneath. Very clear. We knew what was underneath us. We knew there was no fire at all, and I just minimized that little hole in the floor like it was nothing. No, it's nothing. It's just a little hole in the floor. Just don't step there. Sent a guy into the room real quick, knocked down the room right in front of us. I looked to the left. As I came back out, he was coming out of the room, and that little hole went to a big hole, and he disappeared into the floor.
Yeah.
And that's when the good side of the training is that muscle memory kicked right in.
Yeah.
I knew exactly how to grab hold of him. I knew exactly what to do. I was able to grab him, get him back up, drag him down the hall, get him down to the other guys at the bottom of the stairs. They pulled him out. But the very prolific thing about that video is there's a guy hollering, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday," on the video. And when we went back and looked at the helmet cam afterwards, he never realized he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's just what happens. You get into that muscle memory kind of thing like this. And the problem was he never keyed up his radio because every single time that we'd ever done Mayday training, you can't key up a radio and say Mayday, Mayday, Mayday because Scannerland hears you and everybody starts making phone calls and the communications gets all mad at you. And so what we had realized is that we had trained these people to react very well, but they were reacting incorrectly.
Yeah.
And incident commander, the chief, did not even know anything was going on until they pulled Jason out the front door. The training scars, we made errors. Minimize a structural problem with the building. It was like, it's not a big deal. It's just a hole. We go around them all the time. Not training realistically, and realistically right down to keying up a radio. Because when it happened, the guy just did exactly what he was taught. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday.
Yeah.
Never keyed up the radio, never went from there. Because we just checked the box that he did a Mayday on a training drill. So, it's that was when we kind of all looked at each other afterwards and went, wow, we've made some mistakes. We got to correct some things here.
Yeah.
So.
But I remember you brought that back down to us. And you're like, watch this video. And it was great because you could see flow pass before that was a
flow
thing.
Flow pass is great,
It was crazy when you were opening and closing doors. You checked basement multiple times.
Yeah, the guys checked the basements. Even with the delay of water, we went back down and checked again. It was, so there was stuff that we did well, but it's also, you get in, the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
And the things we did. And you miss one little detail, minimizing certain things. And it wasn't long after that, ran another fire, structural compromise in the floor, basically same style house. But this time we're like, yep, no one's going in there. Come on, we can do that. No.
Yeah.
Don't make the same mistake we've done.
Yeah, we've been here before.
Let's not just let that room go, guys. We'll throw some ladders. We'll do something else. Don't go in the room because the floor is not,
Yeah.
So.
Just having just that little bit of kinesthetic awareness of physically reaching up to your lapel mic and hitting the button. Because we hadn't trained on that.
Yes.
It became a training scar. Yeah. And that was such an eye-opening moment for me.
Yeah, and it was so clear. And afterwards, when we were sitting there, and the guy who said the Mayday is like, "Who's that?" And we're like, "You did. You called the Mayday." I didn't call the Mayday. Oh, that's you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "I didn't call the Mayday. You did, but you didn't keep the radio up." And we're just like, "Oh man."
Yeah. The adrenaline dump, you zero out.
Yep.
Yeah. It was right after that. I was training we incorporated the radios. Now we can block out channels and get permission, and we can do all that fun stuff. But I was operating on RINS channels, so when you click the lapel mic, it doesn't do the chirp to let it know it's
chirp up to lock into the system. Yeah.
So I was watching training, and they're sitting there hitting their button, wanting to give out their Maydays, and they're listening for the chirp, and it's not coming because we're on that different channel. And I'm realizing that, I'm messing with them, and I don't even realize it. Like, I'm trying to do the right thing, and it started messing with their communications. So then they would get on real calls and just start talking because they weren't even paying attention to the chirp anymore. So just even the little things like that will start building into bigger things. Like you said, the devil being in the details, it's going to manifest itself in larger ways.
Yeah. And and you take one small little skill, one little skill like that, and you incorporate it into another one, and it's a little more complex, but that one little basis of something can pull the thread, and it comes apart on you.
Oh yeah.
So, now it's much more accepted to go to a channel, you call a communication center, you talk about it. Scanner land is still out there. People still call, and at that point, you just look at the guy and go, you know what, it's worth it. Then, you start talking about these calls later on where, wow, we really screwed up on that one. But yeah, that's making it as realistic as possible. Yeah. Just making it as close to what it is as possible is critical in those calls.
Yeah. Talking about making it as real as possible. I remember I walked into the firehouse one day, and this is when we had both made it to 7, and that was a blast. I mean, there was that period where, we knew every day for like a year we ran a fire.
That was, yes. We were not liked.
No.
The other shifts hated us because they'd come in the morning and the engine bay would smell like a house fire. And
it was like that for almost a year straight.
And the other company, we were running calls that we weren't dispatched on. Just the fourth due engine could see us sitting there without our lights on, letting them know that we could have beat them there. That was That was
a good time.
Yeah, that was a very good time. That was a hell of a shift.
Yeah, that was definitely a high point in my career.
Very much so.
And I remember walking in, and you want to talk about the getting to the point of stressing yourself a little bit. The first time I'd even considered entanglement was when you made a prop in the back shed. And I remember guys being, I'll just speak for myself. I remember being kind of terrified because I had never been in that situation before. And of course, I'm in my mid-20s. I don't want to look like an idiot, and I don't want to fail everybody else around me. And I remember thinking, this is going to put me through the ringer. And you did put us through the ringer. And obviously you built it up for sure. And you've always been awesome with that, kind of a crawl, walk mentality and building it up. But I had, up until Fireground Survival and then me continuing on and doing stuff, I'd never had that skill. And that was something that you were always introduced because you were training like a madman, going all over God's green earth, I feel like, doing stuff.
Yeah.
But you would bring that stuff back and you're like, all right, this is what we're doing for the next week or month or whatever. And that was my first exposure to it. What was the drive? Because a lot of people, I still hear all the time, I don't know where to begin. I don't know what to do today.
The drive for the training or the entanglement? Because the entanglement was some calls I was running into, getting hooked up. The drive to train, I couldn't scratch the itch enough.
Yeah,
I was. I've had fantastic mentors. I've had great role models. Going to these trainings and dealing with these guys that were larger than life. You read them their articles and you see the pictures and you know the training classes they do, and then you go to the classes and just how focused they are with you and a lot of these stuff. Right after I got promoted to lieutenant, went to FDIC East in Atlantic City. So that was a hot minute ago.
Yeah.
And went by myself. I got the department to pay for the course, but I had to get myself up there, and I had to. I think they paid for the hotel. But I packed coolers for food because I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, and I had a cooler full of beer. So of course I'm going to come back and hammer a couple of beers, and I took a safety and survival course. John Salka, Rick Lasky. They put a bunch of guys together from a whole bunch of different places,
Yeah.
And I went into that, and man, I thought I was a lieutenant in the fire service, man. I got promoted. I got this, and had a fire like the shift before I was going. And we had 2 sets of gear. So one set of gear is like, I'm not going to take that in my car. It's going to make my car smell. So grabbed a new set of gear, this and that. And when we first got to the training site for this 1-day hands-on class, the guys started kind of messing with me. They're like, oh, look at this, brand new gear, this and that. And I'm like, and then typical smart ass Otter phrase. I'm like, well, this is my second set because I just came back from a job, And so they were going through the steps of what to do and all these things. Yeah. And one of the scenarios was I had to do a search of an apartment. And I got into an apartment and I'm crawling around. And I kind of get hooked around something in this one room, and I didn't know what it was. So I started pushing my way through it, and then it get harder and harder to push through. And I'm like, oh, these guys are doing something. They're messing with me. Mm-hmm. And the more I pushed through this room, the more I get hung up, and I got to the point where I was having trouble moving. And a little voice came in the corner of my head, and I hear this very Brooklyn accent. He goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to get out of this. He goes, you're stuck, right? Yeah. He goes, why haven't you called the Mayday? I don't know. And he goes, okay, hang on a second, stop. So they move everything out of the way, and you can't see anything. So they pick you up, they walk you out, and he says, hey, drop your coat here, go get a bottle of water, just walk around the corner. We'll come talk to you in a minute. So put my coat down, grab a bottle of water. I'm shaking my head. I'm like, man, I screwed up on this drill. I thought I knew what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And I go back around the corner, and I'm sitting there, and they come over, and they start, okay, what did you do? Where were you? Explain the whole things, I was at steps, was at hallways, this and that. So you start going through the whole thing, kind of this. And that's the first time I got into the room mapping. Mm-hmm. Salka's kind of standing off to the side. The guys are going over stuff. And Salka, and they're like the room mapping things, the 3 bubbles of the fire ground, where you are outside or floor, room, that kind of stuff. And went through the whole thing and then walked around the corner, and they had my coat sitting there and all the stuff that was in my pockets of my coat laid out on the ground. And one of these guys is like, hey, what's up, kitchen sink? And I'm like, excuse me? It says kitchen sink. It says you have everything in your coat pockets except for the kitchen sink. Yeah. And they picked apart everything that I carried. Mm-hmm. You don't need screwdrivers. You didn't need this. You didn't need this. He says that you're talking about light and fast. You're a fireman inside. You need a toolbox, you call outside. Mm-hmm. You want to bring a bag for something for an automatic alarm, that's fine. You do that, but don't carry it in your coat. That's firefighting stuff in that. So kind of a little pep talk, a little more discussion of some training points and stuff like that. Went back in, went through the whole thing again, and finished off the rest of that day. And driving on the bus going back from the training site, it dawned on me, and I'm like, man, I don't have it. Yeah. I don't have the skill set. Mm-hmm. I have so much I have to learn, and it just hit me in the face bad on that one. Yeah. So I went back to the hotel, and I got cleaned up and stuff. I said, well, I'm going to go downstairs to the bar, and I'm going to get a quick bite to eat. I'm going to have 1 beer, and then I need to go to bed because I'm mad at myself. Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and I'm grab a bite to eat, have a sandwich, and drinking a beer, and I look over in the corner, and the entire training cadre is over in the corner, and I'm like, so I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. But, I'm like, okay, so I said, hey, I want to buy those guys 1 round of beer. Don't tell them where it's from. So, and as I was walking out, I kind of just paused and said, hey, guys, thank you very much for today. You guys really opened my eyes. And they're like, well, hang on a second. Where are you going? I said, I'm not going to be one of these guys. You guys are like this. And he goes, hang on a second. Come on. Let's talk. Yeah. And I got talking with the guys and stuff like that. And they just had some very, very clear points. And I just told him, I said, man, I thought I had it. And he says, you have to find, and this is where that phrase I try to use is, if you're the smartest guy around, you're not learning anything. Yeah. Go find a room where you're not the smartest guy. Yep. The moment you realize that you're kind of on top of your game and where you're at and stuff, there's a room somewhere out there that you need to go into because there's guys that are going to teach you stuff. Mm-hmm. Keep pushing and keep finding that room where you're not the smart one. And that's what kind of started was, all right, I got to learn. And I would go to the next thing and I'd learn that. And then I'd come back and the constant message was, take it back. Take it back. Yeah. Take it back and let these guys learn. Take it back because the more you do it with them, then you're going to train. They're going to teach you stuff. And it was just constant. And I was wide open. Yeah. Because I could see kind of the result of it. And then throughout my career, I can definitely tell you that repeated training was key to a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. So we started small, but you just kept at it. And every day it was something. Like we knew that we were going to be in gear doing something. It could be pulling hose, it could be entanglement, it could be all kinds of shit. Yeah.
Well, the hose is the big thing. I remember we used to make, I forgot who it was on 7, because every day we'd come in, we'd pull all the hose.
Oh, yeah.
We put all the hand lines.
React
All right, guys, every hand line comes off. Would you like the way we wrecked it? No.
No, actually.
No, it's not perfect for us, okay?
That's right, yeah. It was like inner pride wars. Yeah. That was funny. So actually, I want to circle back. You said that you had been in a couple incidents where the entanglement thing was really apparent for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotten wrapped up a couple of times. What was
Yeah,
that?
I got 2 of the big ones that kind of come to mind. One was firing back home PA. Helix coil flex duct. Mm-hmm. Getting guys out of a house. House was coming apart, wind driven, trying to get in one of these things, and I got wrapped up right inside the front door, and I could see the door, and I kept trying to move towards the door. And it just dawned on me, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of wired in this thing right now. Mm-hmm. And trying to work my way out of that. That one was pretty clear because luckily I was right in the in train for that one. The wind was blowing in, so I was in a good spot if I was going to get wrapped up. Mm-hmm. I was able to get myself out of that one. And that kind of started the cutters concept with me. A lot of it, real heavy on that. Or a functional set of cutters in a functional spot. And then we had one later on. It was, I think we were working together at 7. We had a fire in, I thought it was up in 8's area. Mm-hmm. Where we were allowed to go back in. This house was in a bad shape too. And got wrapped up again. But that was one where it was kind of everybody slowed down and cut me out of here. I'm fine. I got a hand line with me and stuff like that. But yeah. The entanglement stuff really kind of became evident with a handful of fires I had. Yeah. Those 2 were the big ones because of just the volume of fire for them.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I just remember that was the first time I'd ever been exposed. Like it was so interesting because it wasn't even on my radar, and it's just funny, the evolution of the fire service and even through your own career, once you hit certain steps, like, oh, okay, we need to introduce some more things. We need to stress things out a little bit more.
I think it was the same training up at FDIC, and they had an entanglement prop. And the location I had my cutters and the process I was going through it and kind of how I was doing things was just, there was no plan. There was nothing there. Cutters were in a bad spot, got them out, was able to make a cut, and then just by habit, I put them back into that bad spot again. And they asked me, they're like, well, why'd you do that? I'm like, well, I had to put them away. Hey, you're hung up on something. If you're hung up once, there's a pretty good chance you're getting hung up again. Yep. So if you're going to take them out, you got to have something that's, maintain them in a good spot where you're able to use them again. And that was another one of those, I never even thought of any of that stuff. Yeah. And then it was, if I'm doing this and I don't consider myself that bad, we have to, let other people know about this and kind of get this out there. So yeah, that's where a lot of the entanglement stuff kind of came in. Mm-hmm. Where it started. And then it was a lot of the just being comfortable in your gear in a tight spot and moving your cylinder. And that's when with the prop we built at 7. Yeah. Just being confident in your gear and confident in tight spots and that kind of stuff. It's
huge. That was this fringe benefit that we got that we never even realized was being comfortable in your own gear and realizing the things you did and did not need. And you can look on the fire ground and see the people like that person's not in their gear a whole lot. They don't even look comfortable or happy right now. Yeah. They're not used to the feeling. Right. Mm-hmm. And when we did the Fireground Survival Program, and then even after I got promoted and started doing things with my shift, and now having trained a lot of the department, it's amazing to see people that get hung up that haven't been in that place before. And you see, yes, the frustration. Sometimes you also see meltdowns.
Yeah, panic.
And the thrashing. But when you're in that controlled environment and you're able to slow them down and like, all right, let's think about this one thing. You're zoomed out right now. Let's zoom back in. What do you feel right here? Or what do you hear? What do you see? Where your tool, and you start picking apart these little things. And then once they're able to get through it, you get more reps in. I use the analogy, it's almost like they won the Super Bowl. They're like, I've seen grown ass men hoot and holler getting out of that prop because that was one of the hardest things they've ever done in their life. Yeah. In the training ground. And that's not me throwing shade. you don't know how you're going to operate until you've been stressed to that point.
And the fire service, I think, is really kind of not focused on putting the psychological in on the training. You have to stress yourself. That was kind of hammered with me with a lot of the stuff that I had, training that I had done. A lot of it was, how are you going to react when you are physically tired? So I started doing things like I'd get on a treadmill and I would run with an air pack on. Yeah. How can I control my breathing when I really need oxygen, when I am tired? And how am I going to feel with that on?
Yeah.
So it was things like that. It was trying to get myself just psychologically ready for those events.
Yeah.
Because, after Stonehill and some of the other stuff, and it was it's not if now, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
It's coming.
You do this job long enough.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do it long enough, you run into some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are definitely more black clouds than others.
Yeah.
I do think it's become more apparent, more well known, but you can have all the training in the world, but if your mind's not right and not prepared for that, it's still going to go out. You're still going to take a shit.
Yes.
I remember you telling me about this, and I know you were a pretty avid reader, and you also have the family military background. You would bring in analogies from military circles. And I remember you talking about how some of the first times I'd heard about being like task saturated, like all this information's coming in, your adrenaline spiking. And I mean, that's something I teach on and like super nerd out on now. But that was one of the first times, a decade and a half ago or more is when I first heard that. And that was from like your reading, and I'm assuming family and all that.
Yeah. And I remember the phrase, and it's the first time I heard it, I kind of giggled because I could see it right in the fire service, the helmet fire.
That's it.
Where there was so much going on. They talked about fighter pilots.
Yes.
There was so much information coming into them. How do they get the information that they need in order to make the machine do what they need it to do to get out of that situation? And what ended up happening a lot of times is they tried to bring in so much information they could not process it and then get an action out. And they called it task saturation, the official thing. Well, the pilots used to refer to it as helmet fire. Your head would burst into flames inside your helmet because you hit a point.
Yeah.
And you look at fire ground, a modern firing ground now, if you sat down and you wrote down all the little tiny things that you do and all the little tiny decisions and the little analysis that you do, from everything from your crew to the time of day to the weather to the apparatus to how far out this is, the water supplies, the buildings, fire conditions, people trapped, everything. There's a million things going on. So the same concept can be put into what we do, and you have to be able to push aside some of them, focus on other ones, and be able to get the action out. We don't train under that stress enough, even not just first arriving into it, but just simply, pushing hand lines, safety and survival, any of that stuff, stressing people, cutting holes in roofs. I'm watch guys physically because they're not comfortable in their gear or they're afraid of the pitch or some of these things like that. You can see them moving around. They're just not effective. Okay, so you're not effective on the roof of a house where the fire is coming to you. Yeah. Hey, you can see some of these problems. So it's trying to figure out how to do these things very quickly and understanding the information and getting the action back out, knowing, where to put that energy and stuff that was something that I was taught by, these guys. Yeah. And I read a lot of the articles and that kind of stuff. And it was it's
eye-opening.
Focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, there's some psychology to this. We're not just a bunch of dumb firemen running around. Well, we actually got to think a little bit.
Yeah. It's so nuanced. There's so many layers to it. And that the first time I'd ever been, not just, physically and mentally stressed at the same time would be the trainings that we were doing just in the engine bay or in that little shred in the prop house or whatever, because you can train and that's all fine and you see success and that's cool. But until you're mentally strapped, it's an entire game changer.
Training just to check the box for training has become a problem. I think it's getting better. People are realizing it's not just checking a box, watching a video. You have to have training at a level where you're actually seeing the challenge and even to a certain point seeing the failure within training, because then you find where that line is. Make it so difficult so that you may not be successful, but okay, so that point there, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So then you step it back a little bit until you can master that. And then you slowly kind of work it up. Mm-hmm. But, I look back and early in my career, it was, pulling hand lines. Great. So we pulled hand lines in open parking lots on weekends, elementary schools. It was easy. Okay, we rack it back on. Mm-hmm. That's great. Until you have to pull a hand line, at a townhouse complex, and you got to move around cars and steps and railings.
At 3 a.m.
Yeah, at 3 a.m. So it's, and then it was, well, I'm not stressing myself. You weren't stressing yourself, and you weren't making it more complex. So that training environment and getting to that level, and putting the psychological in on it. And actually stressing. But there's also the other side that firemen have to get a little better at, and I can't say I was always the best in my career, but you have to let people feel comfortable enough to actually fail in that training environment a little bit.
Yeah.
And you got to tell them, if you're going to make the mistake, you make the mistake here.
Yeah.
And expect to make the mistake. Because if you're not making the mistake, hey, we need to up the training a little bit. We need to make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So that's you got to do that. You got to add in kind of all the pieces, and it's not easy.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said that, because I've certainly been guilty when I was younger, and I've been part of assignments where it was more of a showcase, or it was more of, let's induce fear and call people out, and you have to very intelligently get that bullshit out.
Yeah, the environment, and I was guilty of it. The environment sometimes that you get put in some of these things is you're always kind of jockeying for position.
Yeah, you're being judged, or how much do you know? Right,
and in that pack mentality, you always want to make sure that you're kind of in that alpha side to it. Yeah. Hey, that's not always the most conducive training environment. Yeah. And if you're really trying to get some sort of skill ingrained, you got to take that out of it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you can't have that personality type around to kind of give a little bit of a push. Yeah. But it's got to be measured, and it's got to be something where the people that aren't as comfortable, that are like, oh, I'm struggling this. I'm worried about doing this. As you look at them, you're like, no. Here's the deal. You're going to be successful because everybody here wants you to be successful. And yes, it's raw. It's a lot of feel good stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that call's coming, and you're going to need that guy to perform. Yeah. And that's where you got to knock off some of that bravado that we bring into it. And I was very guilty of it, parts of my career.
Sure. Same.
But now I look at it, it's like, no, you gotta build the confidence up. Sure, you want to be an alpha male? Yeah, you can be the alpha male, but it's not because of that. It's not because of what you're saying and what you're doing. It's kind of how the guys look at you now. Yeah. That's really kind of puts you into a position. If you want to be a respected guy, it's their view. It's not how loud you are at the kitchen table these days. Yeah, yeah. You have to be genuine. You have to show humility. You have to tell them that, no, I care about investing in you. Yeah. 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 I was, I'll run drills. I definitely nerd out on some of the BA drills and stressing people with that, because that shit just, honestly, it comes from a place of fear, and I want to manage that fear. It scares me because that's our only lifeline. When that goes, you're fucked, right? So we'll go through drills, and I've got this whole evolution where we're doing things in controlled environments, and I just keep adding the next stressor until we find that breaking point. And we'll get to the point where I'm physically taxing you, I'm mentally taxing you, and I'm putting you through some higher skill, finer motor skill evolutions. And what you're doing in a more controlled environment, I got 45 seconds to breathe. And now, just by physically taxing you, I'm now dropping that to seconds. And the light bulb that goes off in people's heads is just incredible, because they thought, oh no, I got this. But that's not how it's going to happen when it really happens. Like, you're going to be mentally and physically taxed. You're going to have the helmet fire probably. Yeah. And that's when you need to know when that line is. And enough people, myself included, don't know where that line is. You have to know where that line is, and then you have to push that line as far back as you comfortably can over time. And with time, what I have found is that line varies. Older that I've gotten and less active in some of the stuff I've done, I've seen regression in my career and stuff that I've done. been a while since I went through, the old school basic, SCBA maze.
Yeah.
So a little while ago, I was like, you know what? Hey, let me jump in one of these things. I haven't done this. It's a new set of gear. Don't know. So I climbed in one of these mazes, and I got about 10, 15 feet inside this thing, and it dawned on me. I'm like, man, I'm breathing really fast right now, and I kind of kicked in. I was like, wait a minute, am I uncomfortable right now? And I kind of giggled for a second. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, this isn't. And then I crawl a little bit further out. I'm like, wow.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. And guess what? You need to train more.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah. So, that was, I kind of laughed. And that was, that line does change. You get to the point, you sharpen the knife, it's fine. You let it go, it's going to dull down a little bit.
Yeah.
Perishable skill. I forgot who told me. You got to refresh it. Even as something as simple as putting your gear on, put an air pack on, and go crawling through some place that's a little tight.
Yeah.
The older you get, it changes. I've worked with some people that said, "Oh yeah, I don't want to go in, training burns, just simple training burn." And they're like, "Yeah, I'm just not comfortable in an air pack anymore." No, why not? Just haven't done it. And I'm like, "Nah, it's like riding a bike.
Let's go do it."
Yeah, and so that's what that was my answer to. And sure, they went inside and they said, "Good, to check the box. I don't want to go back in there again." I'm like, "All right, well, you did it once, so
Yeah.
but yeah, that changes. And just because you think you got it, doesn't mean you're time to go back and do it again.
Yeah,
you got to go back.
That's the other thing I see is you work at it until you get it right, and that's okay. I need you to work at it until you can't get it wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's got to be, and if you start to react the muscle memory with focused movements, not just, hey, I know what I need to do in a spastic. That it's very deliberate actions and stuff. When you start doing that, you suddenly realize, okay, that's very all right. Good. Now I'm on the right track. Kind of thing.
And nerding out on some of the psychology of it, there's a book called Flow, and it's he's Eastern European. His last name is Csikszentmihalyi.
Spell it.
Yeah, it's got 50 consonants in it. He talks about hitting that flow state where everything is happening so naturally, and you can only get to that point when you are a highly trained, highly skilled, under duress individual. And it can be something as simple as your Kirk Hammett from Metallica doing a guitar solo. Like, he's in his flow state at that moment. But what does a firefighter look like in their flow state when you need every ounce of your skill and being and presence to execute something under the worst possible moment? And there's just a ton of psychology in that we don't realize.
Yeah. And it's, you don't know where you're at with any of that until that moment happens.
Yeah. Well, moving past from 7, you went to go become a super nerd, and you got on the SO team, and you went to the tower. You went to a special ops tower, and you went and did that. And when you did that, it lined up where I had the opportunity to become a battalion aide. So took the battalion aide spot. And I remember that I was, I worked for, going back to Chief Butt, I had a great battalion chief, one of the best, and he let me go play. And it was during an era where battalion aides could get just as much fire as anybody else. I had a great time. And then you still did the admin stuff. So I was taking sick calls one night, and I hear your voice on the other side. And you said, "Hey, I'm banging out for 24. And I could tell something was wrong. I was like, "Are you okay?" And he broke down on the phone. And I remember it gutted me because one of my closest friends was having a hard time. And like I said, you're like a rock to me. And to hear you be in that place, I knew something was bad. And you told me about, you had just gotten off of a fire when it was Jason, right?
Yeah.
He got hemmed up.
Yeah.
If you would, can you walk us through that?
March 19th, 2011 at 2:43 a.m. I think that time is right. Call came up for an outside investigation where I lived, and one of my closest friends was he was an assistant chief, so he was on station that night, and the guys were out. An outside investigation call went off. I was laying in bed. I had to go to work the next morning, so I just silenced the pager, and A minute or two later, pager reopens up now, alerting for a house fire in the area. Oh, so I get up, so I get out and get in the truck, and I drive there, and I'm just a firefighter at the station at the time, and when I get there, you could just see that the fire ground had just cut loose, just complete chaos. And as I grab my gear and as I'm kind of jogging up to the scene, I'm seeing firemen come out of this house and people just running, and you could just tell something bad happened. And one of the guys came out and we kind of grabbed him. And we're like, dude, what's going on? And he started screaming, Jay's in there, Jay's in there. And this house is on fire. Yeah. Like the whole front. And pushing out of everything. And we just were like, you gotta be kidding me. One guy who's already had a hand line, what was kind of left of the hand line at the front door trying to do something. And he had actually, Jay was right at the front door. Call came out outside investigation. About a block from the scene, they upgraded it house fire. So when they get on the scene, they had what they thought was a rancher, and called it out, single-story rancher, and got smoke showing. And jokingly, Jay thought, ha, we got this one, no one's around, because we're ahead of everybody. And he thought they were going to go in, knock down a bedroom fire, high five, and be back at the station for coffee before dawn. And that's literally what he jokingly said about it. And it turned out to be a completely different animal. Yeah. It wasn't a rancher. It was a mobile home. It was a mobile home that had a house built around it. And so the fire had been burning for a while, kind of broke out, got into some void spaces, snuffed itself down. And it was the quintessential, not backdraft so much, but it had all the elements of just a fire waiting to grow. And when the guys went inside the front door with their line, as they did that, they started opening up. And when they opened up, all the void space heat and everything trapped inside the house started to lighten off. And it just took off like a champ. Construction elements on the front of the house was a covered porch on the front, but they boxed in the ends, and the drip edge of the roof was below the top of the windows. So there was no ability for the fire to vent out. Yeah. And there wasn't a flat ceiling underneath it. It pocketed up, and it just brought everything back up to the side of the house. And which then could get back into the void space above. They had put trusses over the top of this mobile home. So the construction elements were just screwy. Then they weren't happy with the look of underneath this porch, the underside of the porch. So they put vinyl siding on it.
Oh, my God.
So when that lit off, it just went like a champ. I got one of the pictures is one of the guys at the front door just before everything went haywire. On fire, basically vinyl siding laying all over top of him and, burning. Ended up with a couple burns on some guys, and Jay got disoriented, moved around, called a Mayday, got trapped. We were able to get him out, got him outside, and he was banged up bad. Yeah, he was banged up bad. Couldn't account for everybody. Then it became, who's missing? They're still inside. So we had to push back inside. Another one of those fires going, what am I doing inside of here? Able to get back out. Then they accounted for everybody. So we got back out, and then it was, where's Jay? And they're taking him. They're flying him. He's bad. And I'm like, what's bad? I said, I know he was hurt. And they said when they took his gloves off, all the skin came off too. So hopped in my car. I said, okay, I'm going to go to the hospital. So I hopped in my car, drove to the hospital, a couple phone calls, kind of thing. I want to make sure his wife. Okay, we got to let his wife know because she's going to figure out real quick with the local. And the ambulance crew actually drove him to the hospital, then left and went and go pick up his wife. Give the guys credit on that. Came down, and then when I got into the emergency room, just saw how bad it was. Jay was hurt. Yeah, he was really hurt. So they flew him to Bayview, and ended up with 70% burns, about 30% third degree. And when we checked him into Bayview, I went down. I was still in turnout pants and grabbed his wife through. Let's go, hop in the car, we're going. So we got down to Bayview and then started looking at kind of the nature of the injuries and stuff. And I was like, wow, we got a problem. Yeah. We got a big problem here. And then talking with just real quick with some of the nurses and the doctors, they're like, yeah, so we're going to, a couple things we got to do, but he's going to be here for a while. And I said, well, what's a while? And they're like, a while. I'm like, a couple of days, weeks. And they're like, months.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that was like, all right, somebody's got to be here. Someone's going to start organizing stuff. And I'm like, I'm calling out sick. Because first off, I'm not going to work right now.
Yeah.
So that's when I called out. And that was that, the back of your mind, you never want to make that phone call from a burn center. Mm-hmm. And I'm, standing in the hallway, the burn center up there at Bayview and making a phone call. And then I was like, yeah, this is not good. I got a problem. 33 days, I think it was the burn center. Jay's an animal. He's a champ.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, bring it on.
I'm going to beat that timeline.
There's a lot of, some stuff with the job where he was working, that caused some stress and a lot of problems in these things and trying to manage through it and then trying to figure out exactly how do you handle, how do you care for a burn firefighter? Mm-hmm. They always say the event that happens and guys are scarred from the event. What happens afterwards is just, that's a whole nother part of all of that.
For sure.
And then managing through. We did not want, because, the burn center is, 2.5 hours from where we live. It was like, no, someone needs to be here and needs to take care of stuff. Someone needs to make sure that we're not overloading his room. We're not bothering him. He's getting what he needs. If he needs this, do. So I actually ended up spending about 29 days of the 33 in some form or fashion at the hospital there. I went home a couple times in that. But I'd either sleep, crash in my car in the parking lot, sleep in the waiting room. A couple times I'd go down and I'd crash at a firehouse and at work, get a shower. I'd come in real late. Nobody even knew I'm there. I'd go in, take a shower, go crash on the couch, get 2-3 hours of sleep, get up, go back up to the burn center. But getting him through that, and that was that, watching that whole process and getting through that was, And then it was the questions of like, what the hell happened? Mm-hmm. And then again, it was one of those trying to determine, what did we do? How did we do things? We didn't understand the construction elements on that building.
Yeah,
we didn't understand modifications that people were doing to houses. We didn't understand how dangerous an overhanging front porch was on some of that stuff. We look at those different now. We went back, and I give a lot of credit to the chief of our fire company. He just would not accept just standard things. He requested investigation done on it, so he had a couple fire chiefs and a couple other people come in, and they reviewed it and stuff like that. And basically, it was like, hey, this is what it was. This is the answers about the buildings and the tactics and a lot of photos and stuff like that. And it was great, but it still didn't kind of answer what was going on some of these things. Typical thing is we didn't think about how dangerous the construction was. Mm-hmm. We did not understand that one action needs to be supported by another action. Some of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we kind of, we tore it apart again, and we learned a whole bunch of stuff and changed our tactics and changed our policies and stuff like that. And the training regimen changed again. And it was one of those things. Yeah. But that was, another Stonehill in a sense. That was a very, very rough time there. And then it was when we got Jay home, we had to get him back to work. Yeah. And then it became rehab, and rehab process, and everything else, and just watching that. And if anybody's ever been around anybody who's been burned significantly like that, and just the process, skin grafts, autografts from allografts, and how they do all of that. You might be burned 70%, but they're going to take 20% more of your skin and basically run a lawnmower over it.
Yeah, God, man.
And do some stuff to you. And then watching how, what pain meds do to people for long periods of time, and then, how do you manage your core temperatures and, because that's what your skin pretty much regulates it like that. Jay and I, we've got a running joke about, hey, can you turn that air conditioner down over there, please? Can you turn that air conditioner down? Jay, it's all the way to the left. I said, can you take the cover of the box off and see if it goes any more to the left? No, Jay, it doesn't. It's on 0.
Yeah. Or to beat walker.
I always became, and then it was a lot of that stuff. But just the management of that was a...
wow. The rehab process is, like you said, it's... The call is one thing. The burn center is another thing. The rehab, the effect it has on families and everybody else, there's investigations. It's not just a one and done thing. These are things that have spreads for a while, has ripple effects.
And then then you get the emotional side of things where guys don't, you're not taking it seriously. So I'm not going to be mad at you because you don't know what I know. You haven't been through this. You haven't seen this, and some of those things. And it was, I get frustrated, and I said, a lot of the guys now weren't around.
Yeah.
It's like these guys need to understand how important some of the stuff is, and and then you got to measure that too.
Yeah.
So that was a rough one.
Yeah.
But in typical fashion, the guys came together. The guys did a hell of a good job, taking care of Jay. Jay had an absolute refusal to fail on that. 292 days, I think it was, from the date of the injury that he was able to tell work he could come back.
Yeah. It's a long road, but that's amazing.
But he just hammered through it.
Yeah.
Hold my beer mentality on that one. But was able to get back on top, and then he did a lot of education. He talks a lot about it. He's got a lot of the pictures and stuff like that, and so it's now it's in typical fashion. It's pass all the information.
Yeah,
get a lot of people know about it. Educated people.
That's good. I think and you can take one or two roads. There are definitely departments or incidents that, all right, it happens, and they might sweep it under the rug, or they just like, oh no, it is what it is, and then they move on. And then there's the other side where, no, we're gonna try to make ourselves better from this and do internal reports. We're gonna talk about it. We need to tell the next generation. It sounds like you all took that route.
Yeah, we had very good leadership, very, very strong, very developed a system style mentality.
Yeah, good.
And actually from that, every serious incident that we run, there was one, maybe a 2-page after action that's done. And it's that kind of stuff. Good. What did we do well? What did we do wrong? Where was improvements, this and that? And what's funny is when we write them, some of the guys are pretty brutal on themselves with it.
Yeah.
You're like, you really didn't do that bad of a job. No, I did terrible. No, you're okay.
I appreciate that though.
But yeah, that was, and that's just some of the stuff that, watching in my career, having those guys that have, the decisions like, no, we're not going to just let this go.
Yeah.
We have to learn from it. And then we're going to put something in our system. Mm-hmm. Systemically for us, we're going to make sure that these incidents, we're always reviewing serious incidents.
Yeah.
And we're being honest with ourselves and stuff like that. So, that was another one of the positive outputs from it. Take a horrible situation and do the best you can with.
Sure.
So
that's massive.
Yeah.
Those are like the 2 or 3 Maydays that I know you've been on. Is there more?
Small stuff. We've had a couple. Guys get turned around, disoriented, and you go in. Training burns where guys freak out and some of that kind of stuff. Always kind of break things down. It was, we had a fire in a guard apartment kind of thing, and you're like, I rescued 3 people. Like, what do you do? Well, I walked them out. Hey, good job. Well done. You did what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You go into a house where a fireman's turned around and you're able to grab him and say, hey, buddy, follow me out. You walk him out. Okay. That's an assist out. Help the guy out of the house.
Yeah.
I think we can all at one point or another found ourselves crawling around going, I don't really know where I am right now. You bump into somebody, you're like, hey, cool. All right.
It's this way.
No, it's, that's for fireman's side. That's pretty much, try to keep it at that. I don't want more.
Yeah. I think you've been through enough in your time. That's what
the downside of the job is some of the more of those things.
For sure. One of our mutual friends, you were talking about James earlier, he was saying, and he's had his struggles and he's had his moments of light as well. And I remember him saying when he was at a low point, and this is nothing against the military, military will have very acute incidents sometimes and it can get you banged up. And same can happen in the fire service. You also spend 20, 30, 40 years accumulating stressful incidents and junk and bullshit. Resiliency is a word I come back to a lot. So when we dealt with our line of duty that we were pretty intimately involved with, my phone's lighting up, right?
Yeah.
And as I sure you know from your incidents, there's only a handful of people that you feel like you can talk to in that moment. You're definitely one of them. And it's dark 30, day 2 or 3 in, and you're there in my basement working me through stuff, which is a godsend for me. To have those connections and to have one of my closest friends and mentors work through me, that was massive for me. You've been doing this since the 90s. And you've been in a lot of shit. You are a black cloud. I don't know anybody else who has accumulated some more junk. And I know we're scratching the surface. What does resiliency mean to you? Like, how are you're married, you've got kids, you've worked crazy assignments in busy houses, and you've been through a lot of shit. Like, how have you maintained that and maintained the positive attitude, and where you still enjoy coming into the job?
I've tried to, in my career, the one thing I've always had to travel back and forth. So I've had lots of time to think about all these things back and forth and back and forth.
A lot of decompression time.
Trying to figure out how to manage this, what am I going to do for this? Oh my God, I'm going to go home and, now we're going to deal with the family. And I've always kind of, number one, very, very clearly is I have one of the most stable, loving home lives around.
Yeah.
I'm the anomaly with a lot of things. My wife is a saint. The people that know her will understand. She is a saint. She is a absolute rock star.
Yeah.
So if there's a cornerstone to all of that is I got my Cindy.
Yeah.
Then just the environment of the house, just in how things are, and my kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So has been the main thing. The other thing is of the resilience is I've always started to figure out how do you, like you said, there's acute things, there's chronic things, and it builds up and builds up. And how do you explain to people how you've managed the black cloud effects and this? And the analogy that I look at is everybody's got a bucket, and you run an incident, and that incident has some sort of effect to you, and it goes into the bucket. Now, sometimes that incident is a small thing into the bucket, mm-hmm. and you kind of manage it in through good things in your career and good emotions in your career. That kind of bucket, you either empty it out, you either sit and talk to somebody, and you empty it out. Mm. Or the more you see and the more you kind of understand stuff, the bucket gets a little bit bigger. And then the next incident you run, you're able to manage that, because it's a bigger thing. Okay, well, it still doesn't fill the bucket. But let's say you don't get that out, and then you have another one, and then another one. And the thing is that if you're not talking about it and you're not getting the thoughts out of your head, this was horrible. This was terrible. I remember this. I remember that. Those conversations, that does empty it a little bit.
Yeah.
And you find those environments where you know that you can do that. And then on top of it is you also just understand is there are horrible things that happen in the world, and we get called when those things happen. We don't cause them. Mm-hmm. You train and you focus and you apply yourself and you do all these things. And that just makes you a little bit more resilient because I can't affect this. I can't do anything about this. Mm-hmm. Steve Stone. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. Good. You're not supposed to be okay right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But the more you do is that you just get more resilient and more resilient, and just the bigger things you're able to manage. But you also have to understand, in my head is, okay, I got to get rid of this somehow. Yeah. So you have to do something that works that out. Physically doing stuff is huge. The endorphins you get from working out is great for that. Stress reliever. Yes. Yeah. If you're stressed, that physical exertion, just, doing those things is great. My wife gets dumped on with a lot of this stuff. Yeah. There's been a lot of, talks around the fire pit, talks out in the shed, just about things and this and that. And I've just, and then you just get a little bit more resilient to these incidents. Mm-hmm. But you just figure out how to empty that just keep emptying it the best that you can. It's when you don't. It's when you hold the stuff in and you don't talk about stuff. You don't have that things. There was definitely a time in the fire service where you didn't talk about these things.
No.
Or if you did, it was very, very dark humor. Or it was blistering drunk humor.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, and it's not clinically safe for anyone. I do say that a beer or two loosens things up, and you have a conversation. You're able to speak a little bit more. Some of those things not healthy, not advocating. That just works for me. I speak more that way.
You're still in control, though. I think that's a difference.
That's a difference, right? I hate being out of control.
Yeah.
I don't. I tell people I don't like being drunk. I don't like being drunk at all. Because you don't have control.
Yep.
And you can't watch what you say. You just start dumping. That's not healthy. That's not healthy because what you're doing is then you're using it as a crutch as opposed to kind of a lubricant.
Yeah. That's good.
Some social environments, it's a lubricant. That you look around at the guys and you can just speak and there's no issues with it. But that's pretty much how I've kind of managed this absolute chaotic career I've had. And there's a lot of other stuff but I've got, I've had fantastic leadership. I've had fantastic mentors, role models. Personal life is phenomenal. I'm blessed. I'm very, very lucky with that I can manage this stuff.
Yeah. Well, all those things matter. All those little things.
All
those side things that people take for granted or may not have. You have, and it's gotten where you are at.
The older I've gotten, I've also realized is just get rid of some of the negative stuff. The negative concept in the fire service became so rampant in the past couple of years.
It's an easy trap to fall into.
Oh, I was bad with it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how angry I was until after I retired from then I kind of realized well, wait a minute. And then from there, just dealing with a lot of the stuff. Yeah. From there, it's been easier because it's just no, I'm not going to be negative. I'm not going to do that. These things are terrible. Okay. Training, we're going to do better next time. And you go from there. It's just try to stay on the upward swing on everything. So
protect your peace.
Yeah.
Protect your peace.
But when you're hurt and when you're broken, say it.
Yeah.
My wife says, and she always looks at me, she says, "You okay?" And there's times I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah.
She goes, "Okay, you want to talk about it?" And a lot of times I'm like, "No, I don't. No, I don't want to talk about it right now."
Need a minute.
Yeah. And then it's dumb things. I go out, I go out to my shed. I have a little workshop I got. And I jokingly say I make big pieces of wood into small pieces of wood. And it's just relaxing. You kind of run it through your head. And you have to work with it. You've got to work with it. You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
It's not going away.
Yeah, don't shove it down.
Don't shove it down. Bring it up and figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, then you take the steps necessary. You go to the guys around you that you can trust. You go to the loved ones that you can trust. And if it's at that point, it's still there and you can't do anything. Don't be foolish. Don't be foolish. Go get help.
Yeah.
Because
this is zero shame in that.
Oh, this line of work will eat you alive. The stuff that goes on, the stuff that you see, the stress levels that you manage. I mean, we've had, they had a horrific one recently back home with a family in a motorhome into a tractor trailer on an interstate. And it's just,
I heard about that.
And just, the guys on the scene, they're like, we didn't know where to start. We didn't know how to do this. There was just, we didn't know how to, this and that. And I'm like, okay, all right, when you're ready, and talking to the guys and they're like, but you're going to see those things. That's going to happen. Yeah, it's coming.
I just remembered you had the one on 95. Early in
my career,
yeah. With the family, right?
Family, yeah. I was a rookie. I was on a trade. That was back then you traded until your leave bank was full.
Yeah.
So I had a great trade partner. So we traded back and forth. And it was a Sunday morning and I traded with him and they put us out for a wreck in 95 and hop in the medic unit. And down the road to go, and they more information on the call. Now they're reporting, vehicle overturned, someone ejected. Okay, it's an interstate call. And then they're reporting, possible multiple people ejected, this and that. And then I remember we were looking for it, and it wasn't where it was. We kept driving north, and they finally came back with one. They said, state police on the scene requesting every aviation unit available. And we're just like, what?
That doesn't happen. Yeah.
And we spin around, and we kind of see the brake lights, and we spin around. We come back southbound, and a van carrying a family, I think 8 or 9 people in the van. Father fell asleep, went off the side of the road, hit one of these berms, and rolled it. And it did one of these rolls, this high energy rolls, and it just started ejecting people everywhere. And we pulled up, and there were bodies laying all over the road, and we're just like, where do you start?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like, figure out which ones are breathing, which ones are not. And it was just,
yeah.
And by the time you get done, that's
step one.
Yeah, there's a couple of photos of it still. Kind of a famous one with the 2 helicopters landing in 95. And then picture of just the little groups of people down the roadway all working on people, and just you got there, and I forgot what it ended up being, but it was horrific. And that was one of the first ones where you kind of look at it, and that was one of the first ones with Mike Butt and kind of sit there and you look at each other and you're just like, what the hell happened? What the hell?
Yeah.
So, but it's that's one of the many.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So,
and this job, it can take more than it gives if you let it.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to.
Absolutely. And
it doesn't have to.
No. And the thing is that's so much reliant on where you stand on how you view it.
Yeah.
You have to give.
Yeah.
Man, you've got to give into this job. But you're going to get to a point where that input is paying dividends just on other things. Mm-hmm. I was never this confident as a person as a kid.
Yeah.
I get into the fire service, and people are just like, well, I don't remember you being like this. No, it wasn't. This job has kind of taught me to, So there's a lot it can give back to you. But you have to manage everything with it. You've got to manage all the little pieces and parts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, it's through all the horrible stuff, I don't, I don't regret my decision of the path I've taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, you've set a pretty awesome tone. Where are you at now? And you don't have to give names, but you had a pretty colorful volunteer life. Then you got hired in the 90s. We worked together. You retired from there. Mm-hmm. And then you did a roundabout.
I like the word retired. That's interesting there.
Well, you had one retirement, but then didn't really retire.
Yeah. Then I did some worked a little bit down in Virginia. Original plan was after I retired, was going to go down there, and we were going to kind of relocate the family and start another chapter. And couldn't find a nice place. We wanted to build a house in the right school district and stuff. So we're like, we'll just stay where we're at. We like where we live. Mm-hmm. And it was right at the time when my daughter was starting high school. So it was like, if we're going to move, we're going to move now.
Do it now.
But I said, if we don't do now, then we have to wait for my son to get out of high school. And we're like, not a big deal. Okay, so we'll stay. We like it. Worked down there for about a year or so. Ended up working for Harrisonburg, Virginia. Love the department.
Yeah.
Small little department. 5 engines, a truck, and a battalion chief. And what was nice about it was you got to see everybody.
Yeah.
Like they'd bring everybody together.
Yeah.
5 engines, 4 engines. I can't remember now. Was there?
That's incredible.
I'm old. And you like Sunday for breakfast, your entire shift, the entire fire department that was working that day would be at one firehouse. And I'm like, guys, you guys have no idea how good this is.
Yeah, right.
Great department. Really enjoyed my time there. But had an opportunity to come back up to Maryland and actually get into the special operations stuff, full time. And made the decision to do that. And as that department began to develop, they got a SAFER grant. We're going to start staffing more firehouses and not just the special operations stuff. That kind of melded into, then I was doing special operations and working in a firehouse and doing that. And, it wasn't what I had thought it was going to get into. And the opportunity now where I'm working came up. I know a lot of the players that were involved with building it. So I was like, you know what, let's give this a shot. And I looked it over and I did a lot of research into, how the department was planning on being. And so I said, okay, let's do this, and pulled the trigger at the beginning of this year. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
More simplistic life. Schedule's nice.
Yeah.
Drives a little bit more, but I drive back roads now coming out of PA. So it's, I don't have to deal with the tractor trailers on the interstate. So
Yeah, that's
it's,
nice.
It's a nice drive in the morning, a couple cups of coffee, and I'm at the firehouse. And it's, it's, again, brand new fire department, trying to teach people how to be jokingly call it professional fire service, stuff, and how you approach certain things, and, pick the chairs up and sweep the floor and mop the floor, as we were talking about earlier. Yeah. It's little things like that. And it's just, it's going through this. And, I've the other officers in the station, I've had some conversations with them, and I had one the other day was telling me, they're just like, I'm really going to lean on you and how to do some of the stuff you've kind of, been doing this. And he's like, well, how long have you been an officer? I said, well, I think it's been about 17 years as a career officer. And he's like, yeah, I haven't been in the fire service that long.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you're a jerk. But no, so now I'm at the point now where it's like, all right, well, time for me to pass this stuff on, because these guys are going to be taking over. These are the guys that are going to be,
Sure.
In that leadership position down the road for, in this department. So it's like, all right, here it is. So now I kind of beat the drum of what not to do in a lot of things, because I've kind of checked a lot of those boxes in my career. Yeah. So, don't act like this, don't do this, don't put this in food,
I wouldn't put that in an email.
Yeah. Don't put this in an email. No, don't lean out the window and yell at that officer. So it's, yeah.
If you could have your own leadership principle, I mean, we could talk about so many things. If you could have one thing that you, like one little mantra or one piece of like leadership advice that you constantly go back on, or that speaks to you, or you frame so many other decisions with, what would that be?
People. This job is about people. Those that have sworn to protect them and those that we've sworn to protect. It's about people. It's not fire trucks. It's not defibrillators and none of this stuff. Is if you focus on the delivery, the human aspect of the delivery and the people that we're delivering it to, if that's your focus, you're pretty much going to be on the right road. Yeah. Do what's right for them. I keep telling, guys ask me, well, I didn't know if I should have done this. I said, if you're going to make the decision, is it for the patient? Is it for the citizen? Is it for that? Yes. Okay. Now go that route, but make sure you're doing it with your department and the guys around you in mind. So you got to meld those two together. Yeah. That's the one thing that I keep seeing is getting missed by some leadership. They become separated from the line level firefighter. Yeah. They're not listening to their officers. That kind of stuff. That's, for me, that's the one thing. Yeah. From there, you've got to develop your leadership style based off of that. There are some people out there, you got to come down hard as a hammer. Some people, you need to get out of their way. Yeah. So from there, it really becomes, it's the people aspect. Applying for a job right after I retired, and the question was, it was a room full of firefighters who were doing the interview from the department. And the question was, what's the most difficult tool to utilize in the fire service? And I giggled and I said, a fireman. And they all kind of looked at me. And I said, I take a chainsaw and I clean that chainsaw and I service it and I make sure it's ready to go and it's functioning perfect. And I put it in that fire truck and I shut the door. I could come back the next day and there's a really, really good chance that saw is going to work. Yeah. I take a fireman and he got his great this day. And then he goes home and he comes back the next day. That's a different fireman. There's a change in there that you can't affect and you can't do. There's so much input from that in that guy's life somewhere else. Oh, yeah. It's changed. If you can manage that, then the chainsaws are going to be a whole lot easier. Yeah. So. That's
a great analogy.
Yeah. I get some really weird looks when I did that one. They're looking at me, they're like, fireman's a tool? And I'm like, well, some of the guys I've met. But
need that more ways than one.
Yeah, no, that was, that's the one thing. So you got to think about it. It's just,
it's so true.
I look at the shifts, think of the shifts that we worked when we were at 7 together. All I said was, all right, here's the plan for the day. And you get out of the way. Yeah. You get an engine in a truck though that the guys were just wide open. You never told them to clean bathrooms. You never told them that the rigs had to be washed. You never told them that, the weeklies, on the wagon day. You never had to tell the guy to make sure that he was checking all the stuff. It was done.
Yeah.
Because it was the environment that the guys are doing. Okay, take care of the guys. Take care of the guys. Make sure they're doing it. Make sure that that they had what they need. Look out for them. Filter the BS and go from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Service, and it all comes back to the people.
It is, and like you pointed out, is if you service, and it does come back. You hold your head a little bit higher when you do things and stuff like that, and you feel really good. I left work this morning after the conversation I had with some of the people on my shift, and they were making some comments that the shifts are going well, and just really like this, and some of these things that were really driving. Hey, cool! You drive home with a smile on your face. You're like, yep,
yeah, the
guys are doing good. Guys, they see that, so they're now going to start putting more into it and stuff.
Yeah,
so
it just begets more confidence. And
so if I ignored them and went out to the engine bay and just worked on saws and axes and made sure the hose lines are perfect, I don't know. That's the key piece is not going to get what it needs.
Yeah,
and that's the people on the shift. So yeah.
I've absolutely had those moments of clarity where I'm sitting in an office or I'm getting bogged down with one thing or another, and I'm like, at the end of the day, none of this shit matters. Get out of this office or get out of this engine bay or whatever. When everybody is around the coffee table, building that connection, or they're in their gear training, you get out of their way, but then also do what you can to support that.
Yeah,
because none of that other shit matters. The paperwork, and so many people fall back on, well, what does the policy say? The policy might be wrong, or in this moment it could be not the highest ethical standard that we can uphold. And sometimes, a lot of times they jive together, sometimes they don't. So that goes back to what you said about people. That's a hard decision to make.
Right, and that's where knowing where to flex some of these things. And somebody's, there are people say, well, there's rules, and you have to follow the rules. And on the surface, my answer would be yes.
Yeah.
But there's also nuances because you're dealing with people doing some of these things. Take a very, very benign one, and that's uniform policies.
Yeah.
All right, uniform policy states you have to wear X, Y, and Z. And you kind of look at it and you say, well, when you hit temperature here, you're allowed to down dress. And you look at it and you're like, well, by 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock today, it's going to be like that. So, okay, policy says you have to wear your, this shirt until that time. Hey, no, guys, drop your stuff. A couple hours tomorrow, we're not going to do it. Yeah. I said, but they also have to understand is I'm flexing this, but understand down the road is I'm not going to be able to justify that flex somewhere. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have this policy doesn't go away.
Yeah,
it's just,
right.
And they understand that. Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, you are putting yourself in a position that you could be called on the carpet. In my career, I've made the wrong decision that I felt was the right reason. I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. And it was at odds with the administration. And what I did was wrong, but I felt it was right for what all of the nuances was when it came to the people. Mm-hmm. Ultimately I lost that one. Well, yeah, I lost that one. But anyways, but that was, and that's the stuff you get into about making these decisions to support the people and make sure that the people are getting where they need, but you can't get so out of bounds with stuff.
Yeah.
You got to keep something inside there. Yeah. So it's, and that's the art of the leadership side to it.
Yeah.
Where can I flex? Where can I hold firm? When do I do it? What's the tone? What's the message? Do these guys, are they really going to understand what that message is? Mm-hmm. So that becomes a challenge, and you got to think about it. Sometimes you are going to say, no, we're not going to do that. And then later on you go, I should have done that. Mm-hmm. And there's times you're like, yeah, we're going to do it. And then go, ooh, that's not good. But at some point you have to make a decision and you got to go with it. But then just tell them, hey, we may alter this. There's a change that could happen.
Yeah.
And that's going to be based off a couple of things. If you have a good group of people, the right group of people, that change is easier because they're more understanding to the more things. Firemen don't like change. They don't like the way things are. The old joke. But they've got to have to understand is if you're going to waver back and forth. You know, people say, well, he breaks this rule, but he follows this one, like this. And it's like, yes, that's just the way it is. And depending on what the situation is, we're going to tighten up this one and we can loosen up this one and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's always black and white.
No.
Not the answer that a lot of the administration side would agree with.
No.
But then again, I can sit in firehouses and say I don't agree with yours either. So we're going to have this understanding that there's going to be a disagreement.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, when the boss comes down and says no, then you say yes, sir, and
Yep.
you got it, and you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you don't push back over and over and over again, like some people we know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's not something that you can do constantly. And the other side of that is we are always operating in the gray anyway. So when you said, we don't, yes, policies generally speaking are black and white, but that's not how we operate. Now, yes, we need to uphold the standards. And we can't go against them all the time. No, and at that point, you're just being an antagonist.
Yes.
But if you have little sips here and there where you made a decision that you can sleep soundly at night making, and you can rest your head on that, then
and you got to have,
okay.
and there's got to be a basis behind it. One of the stories, one of the visits I got. So I come in early one day, and I'm working at. Working on a truck company, and we had a lot of recruits in the station. We had 3 rookies on the shift, 2 assigned to the engine, 1 assigned to the truck. And I'm of the belief that the rookie, you do your rookie year. It teaches you good things. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I was instilled was the rookie should be, when it's time to eat dinner, the rookie sits down and eats, and it's time you listen. Keep your mouth shut. And when you're finished, you get up, you clean your plate, and then you, as a sign of respect, the other guys, when they get done eating, they usually push their plate back, and then they start, you're bullshitting for the evening. Well, then you go over and you pull their plates off, and you let those guys talk, and you just listen. And it's a little bit of sign of respect, and you clean up the plates, and, you do all the mopping and stuff. You're the new guy. Yeah. You're the rookie. Earn your way up. So then we would, and then it became a joke at this assignment where I wouldn't let the rookies take my plate because it's my plate. You don't take my plate. Well, of course, the other guys on the companies were involved with it. So it became a challenge where I would try to get my plate to the sink, and the rookies would try to stop me. Well, the first time I did it, one of the rookies came up, sir, let me get that for you. No. I slap his hand. And I said, no, I got it. I take my own plate to the sink. Mm-hmm. I wash my plate and put it in the dishwasher. And, of course, the guys are like, oh, that's it. Fine. Let the lieutenant do his dishes. That's fine,
Right, to wear them out.
Next shift, same thing. I get up. The guy comes over, let me take it. I push him away. I said, no, I got it. You could tell the kid wasn't happy. Yeah. The other rookies are kind of looking back and forth. And I was not a very nice officer at that point in my career either. And then it progressed. So finally, I get up one shift. I'm going to take it over, and rookie comes over and grabs the plate. And another rookie over and grabs it. And they said, we got it. You're not taking it. And I said, oh, no, I am. So it started a wrestling match with the plate. So I decided I'm going to be part of this. So I grab it and I lay on top of the plate. Well, these 2 rookies shuffled themselves over to the sink with me laying on top of the plate. And we both said, and I'm like, no, you didn't do it. Oh, no, we did. No, you didn't. And from there, it just went off the rails. And then it became like a full-on wrestling match. Another part of it was they'd have to answer the phone. The phone to ring, we'd always tell them, hey, answer the phone within the first 3 rings. Mm-hmm. That could be an important phone call. So they would like the phone to ring. Well, then the rookies started racing each other to get to the phone because we'd wear out the other rookies. So that's fine. Let the truck rookie get, Yeah,
right.
So it just started to spin out of control. Well, then the guys were making phone calls right at the end of dinner to the firehouse. So the rookies would run toward the phone. I'd jump up, grab my dish, run towards the sink. Oh, and it just turned into a game. And it was the captain got involved, and the captain would be like, no, you're not touching my plate. And he would smash it on the ground and break it. And it just got wide open. It was... I would be jumping up, running across the table. It was awesome. Yeah. It was just the firehouse shenanigans about these guys were just... So I come in early one morning, and battalion chief is waiting for me, but he's a administrative battalion chief. He's aide to the operations chief. And he's there, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What are you doing here this morning? I thought he worked overtime. He's like, oh, man, actually, came to talk to you.
like, oh, God.
It's 2 hours before shift change. I'm like, oh, well, what's up, Chief? He goes, well, get him in to talk off the record? This is not off the record. I said, what's going on? I said, well, the recruit on the shift, on shift X will say, hurt their knee. Yeah, oh yeah, I heard about that. That sucks. Yeah. Well, during the investigation, they said that they were running to answer the phone. I said, okay. Well, why would they run to answer the phone? I said, they said that they were ordered that they had to answer the phone before the third ring. I said, no, we kind of tell them on the station they should answer the phone. Come on, answer the phone. And so they get into a competition, they run for the phone. They said, yeah, well, they said that it was your shift that started all of that. And I'm like, oh, they probably heard it from us. Yeah, sure. He says, yeah, well, we also heard that you make your rookies take all the dishes off the table, and you guys get into like smashing dishes in food fights. I'm looking at him like, yeah.
Is that so odd?
Is that
not normal?
Have you met me? So and he's kind of looking at me and he says, well, just to let you know that they're talking about this. There could be some hazing or some harassment involved in this and this and that. And I said, oh, okay. I'm like, all right. Hey, Chief, did you ask me why I did it? And he kind of looked at me and goes, excuse me? I said, did you ask me why we do this? And he goes, I don't know. I said, Chief, we got 3 rookies in this firehouse, and this firehouse sucks to work at. It's miserable here, okay? We all know this.
Yeah.
I've got 3 rookies that are so energetic about doing dirty dishes and answering phones. They're willing to wrestle officers and bowl people over to do their job for a dish.
How fortunate are we?
I have the same mentality these guys now have. What do you think they're going to do when they're told to go to the rear of the building and out of the building? What are they told to advance that line? Chief, if I got them so passionate, if the shift has them so passionate about dirty dishes and phones and how they feel about their job, their responsibility, have I done something wrong, or I've just maybe done it in a way that you guys aren't used to? And he kind of smiled. He says, nice talking to you, Lou, and walked away. Never heard a word about it after that.
That's awesome.
So either I bullshitted my way out of that one really, really well.
Yeah.
Or they just decided it wasn't worth trying it on that one.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things. And the shift was the shift was in it. But at that point on, that was almost that visit saying, stop it.
Yeah.
So that after that.
Toned it down a notch.
We pretty much had in it. Now, what's funny was the rookies were more upset than anybody. They loved it.
Oh yeah.
They loved the game, but it was, that was the thing is, why do you do it? There's got to be a reason why you do some of those things. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to break these rules, if I'm going to flex these things, give me a reason for it. Well, Chief, I got guys that they're that passionate about it. We've just taught them passion for this job of something benign
and camaraderie and trust.
Right. Yeah. And that was the reason for it. It wasn't belittling them.
Yeah.
We weren't like throwing food and saying clean it up or any of that stuff. No,
it was none of that. No. There was no hazing.
And the moment when dishes smashed on the ground, then everybody, then everybody's cleaning up. Why? Because we're all part of this one, kind of thing. But that's what it was, and it was we flexed some rules, we acted a little differently here and there, and but that was the message of probably should stop that.
Yeah. You were saying that, and I was thinking I can run through 3 dozen different pranks or games or things that we got wrapped up into when we all worked together. And I can just only imagine. And even outside of that, we had our 18-hole golf course.
Yes,
at the firehouse, which is awesome.
Yep.
We had a good time. We
I think of Black Cat every time I do that.
We played really, really hard, but we worked really, really hard too.
Yeah, we had, and it was that passion. I mean,
we would earn our rest or our playtime.
The department I'm with now, they recently got the first kind of outing, try to get everybody together to go out, and union president was like, hey, you coming out for this? I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I said, I don't get into the competition side of things with firemen anymore. I don't think it's a good idea for me. He goes, no, it's not that bad. And I was like, well, let me tell you a story about a station I worked at. I said, we used to get into either a trash can football, wiffle ball, or our own 18-hole golf course, or Wii golf in the TV room that became so competitive and so brutal that we wouldn't talk to each other.
Full blown wrestling matches.
Yeah, full blown wrestling guys. And I'm like, I just no.
I've been there.
I can't do it. I can't do it anymore, man. First off is I've had guys that taught some of the guys that we went against doing these things. I'm like, man, I learned how to be brutal to people. And I really thank the truck crew for that one. I mean, man, they were rough.
I just remember you took a header off of something in the middle of the night when we were all doing things we shouldn't have been doing, and you just hear, stop. we knew we crossed the line.
That was the tennis ball fight in the bunk room. Yeah. Yes. We took all the dividers were out. We were replacing the dividers that were 2 weeks late for delivery. We threw them all out and realized they weren't there yet. Yeah, that was.
We still talk about it. Sometimes we'll just yell, stop.
Yeah. Dove into something. I was bleeding. I'm like, all right, stop. Just stop and turn the lights on.
Right. We're done here.
Yeah. This isn't good. Oh, man. If the walls of that firehouse could talk.
Yeah. Quite a colorful career. And just thank you, man. I've been through a lot. We've been through a lot together. And you go back to your mentors and your colleagues and your peers and your friends, and any time from the golf outings or going to go help, go hang out at your house, everything from mayhem and pulling kids out of windows, you were always there for me. And I at 100% am confident that I've gotten myself out of a lot of really bad situations because of the skills that you gave me. And I can't thank you enough for that. Love you like a sister. And, yeah.
Appreciate
all around
it.
Good dude, man.
It's in my movement back into the area here for work has I've run into a lot of people. I have a lot of phone calls and stuff, and I didn't realize some of the comments that guys were making and stuff and phone calls and stuff. I didn't realize kind of the impact that I had.
Yeah.
It was just more of, I thought I was just that, that tornado that tore through a department. But now more just, guys just reaching out and some of the comments they make. And, I was telling you earlier about a guy, ran into a guy on a call, and he's sitting there with his son, and he looked at his son and, hey, this is Otter. This is the guy that taught me how to be a fireman. And I was just kind of struck by that. I was like, well, wait a minute, and it's kind of heard it a couple times. And I was like, damn, I guess it wasn't that bad. So, it's
you were that for me.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.